there's been something that's been near and dear to my heart for almost a year now. And I've been working with my partner, Dr. Sasha Goodman, to bring this to reality. So VegTech Invest is something that we just launched this year. I want to bring on not just my business partner, Dr. Sasha Goodman, but I also want to bring on the advisors who've been helping us bring VegTech Invest to life and what VegTech Invest is up to right now. Let's bring on Dr. Sasha Goodman. Hey, happy to have you with me. Chris Buck, the founder of DEA Wealth, and Ken Kornbluh, managing partner of Kambio Partners. Thanks everybody for being with me. Before we started this ETF, VegTech Plantbased Innovation and Climate ETF, we were working together about 9 months ago and thinking that this maybe wasn't even going to happen. Maybe you can tell everybody how we started working together.
Sure. We were both involved in various plant-based groups online, including the Glasswall Syndicate, and it turned out you lived close by. So. Yes. I had dinner. I mean, we were at your place with nice wine. We were both, collecting at the time lists of plant-based stocks, and we didn't see any public fund in the market that was doing it. So we just said we want to do it the right way. So we decided to make our own fund.
You and I come from venture capital, but very few people can do venture capital. The smallest amount it would be to get in and support a company would be like $25,000. That's a lot of money for people. But in the public markets, you have more options. And so we started putting together this list. And then we thought, well, we'll make the list public so that everybody can have this knowledge. And once we did that, people just were calling me at home. People were tracking me down saying, oh my gosh, what can I do with this? And I said, well, I just gave you the list. And they were like, no, please put together an ETF for me. Please help me invest. And so it's been 10 months of deep due diligence and lots of research and struggle since then. So Chris, I'll throw it to you. You jumped on the VegTech bandwagon early on, before you were helping us and creating your own firm at DEA Wealth. You were with ROBO Global. Now, ROBO Global, for those who don't know, is one of the leaders in a thematic ETF. A thematic ETF is what VegTech is. So it's an ETF that focuses just on one theme and the companies in that theme. You had a long time experience with ROBO Global and robotics, and you saw a secular trend there. So maybe you could talk about some of the similarities that you saw between the robotics secular trend and now what you're thinking the plant-based innovation secular trend could be.
I was fortunate enough to, learn a lot at Blackrock, where I ran capital markets and looked over 300 or 400 different ETFs and had the opportunity, very similar story. A bunch of engineers were around, like, gosh, there's ubiquitous automation. The processing capability is a parabolic, exponential increase. There's declining cost curves, and there's going to be ubiquitous automation. And there are going to be companies that are focused on driving the fourth industrial revolution. So I became involved in the company, and the more I learned about it, the more it seemed like such a kind of simple but true no-brainer of an investment. The challenge is finding the experts who can capture that growth in an investable product or strategy. And so the affinity of what I learned from ROBO Global, when I was introduced to Sasha and Elysabeth, I'm like, wow, this is very similar feel and sort and demand. And so I started diving deeper into the demand. We're going to get into 2030, which is eight years away or so. We're going to have 8.6 billion people. How do we feed that many people without killing the world? And it's actually a pretty big challenge. Fortunately, there's a lot of capital and a lot of venture capital and a lot of companies trying to solve that problem. And every angle that I came into, it felt very similar to robotics and automation, that there is going to be ubiquitous automation, and there is a need to change our diets and to possibly think about how do we feed the new population that's growing in Nigeria, the middle class in China. It was very clear to me that we can't feed the world under a Western diet like we eat in the US. Then you try to find a solution And what I found through robotics is you really need to find a team of experts from industry, that knows industry, that can read the tea leaves, if you will, what direction it's really going. And the more I looked at VegTech and climate and some of the growth opportunities, the more and more and more excited I got about it. And I love what you said, Elysabeth and Sasha, about driving capital. I think the ETF, beyond just being a kind of an opportunity for some people to think about investing, it's really helping drive capital in a really efficient way, and it's democratized investing for people who want to make a change in the world. So I love what you're doing. I'm glad to be aboard. It's exciting.
Investing involves risk. Principal loss is even possible. The fund's investment objectives, risk, charges, expenses must be considered carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other important information about the investment company, and it may be obtained by visiting EATV.VegTechInvest.com. Read it carefully before investing.